All right. The name is Delman, aka Four Eyes, the Ugly Professor. Doing the album review for the new app Soul Burger. The name of the album is Soul Burger. This album review is done on behalf of Old Heads Network. All right, my first time hearing Ab Soul was on Kendrick Lamar's Section 80 album. He had the Ab Soul outro, which I believe was the second to the last song on the album. I think High Power was the actual last song, even though the name of the joint is called Ab Soul's outro. And I was highly impressed. I was like, who is this dude? Here I'm hearing this newcomer, this new guy, Kendrick Lamar, and I'm impressed with him listening to his album Section 80. And then comes along this guy, and I'm like, oh, this nigga can rap his ass off. He killed it on that outro. Was highly impressed. And, he's with TDE, Top Dog Entertainment. He's with the Black Hippies. That's J-Rock, Kendrick himself, and Schoolboy Q. And, TDE has a nice roster of artists they have on a label. TDE and Griselda might be the last of the crew/label cliques that we have. Like, we used to have a bunch of those in the 90s, and so even in the 80s and the 2000s. You had, Rockefeller. You had cliques within cliques, because you had State Property, you had Dipset, all in was on Rockefeller. You had G-Unit. You had Good Music. You had Death Row, of course. You had Dungeon Family. You had all these crews, even crews that wasn't on the same label, like Native Tongue. Of course, you had Wu-Tang. So those kind of crews/labels are kind of non-existent nowadays. You only have two or three that I can think of, and TDE is one of them. And on their roster, they have a good-ass roster. Outside of the four Black Hippies, you got Sir, who's an R&B singer. You got SZA, who's an R&B singer. You had Reason. I don't think he's on there no more, but he could rap his ass off. I think you got that dude, Isaiah Rashad. I never listened to none of his albums, but he dropped about 4 joints on TDE. Who else? They got some other folks on there. Oh, they got Doechii, the chick, the new young chick that just came out. She's on TDE. So they got a nice ass roster. I'm sure I'm forgetting some folks or a few folks. But getting back to Ab Soul has 6 albums. And I've only heard his last 4 albums. I never heard his first 2 albums. But out of the 4 that I've heard, the previous album before this one that I'm about to review, Herbert, was his best album to me. Out of the joints I've heard, like I said, I didn't hear his first 2 albums. I thought his 3rd and 4th albums were lacking. I really didn't think they were good albums. They had a few songs here and there. I didn't think they match his skill set, so to speak. His first album dropped in 2011, which was called Long-Term Mentality. Never heard it, like I said. Out of the whole Black Hippie TDE crew, he might be the best lyrically, from a lyrical standpoint, outside of Kendrick Lamar. I think Kendrick Lamar is the best overall, but Ab Soul might be the best lyrically out of all of them. And with this Soul Burger joint, he had some standout songs such as D&D featuring Notorious N.I.Q. And she's nice. I like her. She's pretty good. And that joint is produced by Soundwave. You got another joint called Squeeze First 2, which is produced by somebody named Crooklyn. I love the horns on that joint. That joint is a banger. You got another joint called Craze or Crazier featuring J.I.D. J.I.D. gets his man. You got another joint called Righteous Man, which might be one of my favorite joints. I think that's produced by somebody named Python P and Terrence Martin. That joint goes. And there were 4 songs, 15 tracks total. It was 4 songs that I didn't care for. Like he got a joint called GoPro with what's that dude that sings with, been doing albums with Kanye West of late? Yeah, I can't fucking remember his name. But he's a singer, and I really didn't care for the song as much. But I felt that was him trying to kind of reach for the mainstream in some aspects. But it was like 4 joints I didn't care for. It was some other joints that I like, but they're not special in any way. They're solid. They're solid songs, but the songs are the ones I just ran off are kind of like the best joints on there. So I like 11 joints out of 15 on there, which is not bad. And I will give this joint a B minus. I will give it a B minus. Like I said, this is not nearly as good as Herbert. I thought Herbert was his best joint up to this point, but this is a cool album nonetheless. It's definitely worth checking out. So, subscribe and like and all that good shit. And I'm out.
Look, mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine.
Elevate your mind with high quality THC infused products. BlackYeti.com. Black-Yeti.com.
CLB.